Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Moose Podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, Sheikh Amir,
Assalamu alaikum.
Mort,
Walaikum salam.
and a very special return. Welcome for our 300 episode, Mahin,
Assalamu alaikum.
Islam. Welcome.
What up, though?
Yeah, I was like, y'all got me on the thumbnail as like a guest. Oh, it was my thing.
Yeah,
Sorry. It was like, yeah, assalamu alaikum. So y'all got me on the thumbnail as like a guest. Like, what's up with that?
It's all good. We're celebrating 300 with you.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You know, I was eyeing this episode since 285. I was like, I wanted to come back because,
What if we said no, though? What would have happened? Like, we said, oh, sorry, we got something else planned. Like you mentioned.
Why are you making it feel weird? Look how uncomfortable.
I actually was going to, that's why I was coordinate with Amr and Mort more. I was like, I know where you live, man.
Yo,
That's dope, dude.
look who just joined the chat. Shafat. Is that Shafat from Australia? He's
I don't know.
Old school.
Yeah.
Yo, he
listener,
didn't fill
bro.
off the
He
grid.
messages me from time to time on WhatsApp. Oh, nice. Oh, we got Haris Amin from the chat. The
Yeah.
doctor. We got the Shafat. Man, it's an old school. Look at what he brought up from the woodworks, bro. He brought all these nice people out.
Yeah,
Nice.
I thought you'd surprise the listeners too. I didn't know you about thumbnail and all that. But it's all good though. But 300, every 100 episodes, I think I can
Hey,
come
you
back.
look sharp in that thumbnail, though.
That's true. You know, that's my man Usman. He hooked it up.
Yeah.
So-
That's Frank Lloyd, right?
So how y'all been
We
since I
chilling.
left?
We chilling, man.
You know, honestly, I thought y'all were gonna quit when I left. I was like, you know how Moga when he left?
Yeah.
He was like, I thought Mad Mom was gonna fold because
Well, the guy left and mic dropped, and the mic still stayed up, bro.
I was like, that's good.
No,
No,
man. You know, I just get more talking time, bro. That's all that happened. No.
y'all been good though. I mean, consistently, it's been solid. Because I tune in while I'm making my chicken breast and stuff. You know.
Nice. He's still on that.
Yeah.
Mr. Return from Bangladesh, mashallah.
Oh, yeah. What were we doing in the motherland? Giving out more checks?
Nah.
You remember that story?
Nah, so I don't know if so. My father, he had not gone back to Bangladesh in 39 years.
Wow.
So he had some paperwork stuff to get sorted out before he could go back. So he finally got that sorted out in the summer. So he told me in the summer, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna take you."
Oh.
And you know his you gotta think about it. We don't have family in America, or you know, most of my extended family is in Bangladesh.
Oh, is it?
So like all his siblings, you think about like my dad's like one of 9 or I think one of 10,
Subhanallah.
right? So his 2 younger brothers and his younger sister are the only ones still alive, and he hasn't seen them in 39 years.
What?
Yeah,
Imagine that.
yeah. So like
Imagine that.
yeah, so like I was like me and my brother were like we got to take him. So we had that set up. It was kind of like impromptu. I mean, a few months back, right? So, but I was like, this has got to be it. And so I remember I had the camera and stuff to get to react because can you imagine not seeing your brother for 39 years?
Bro, they must have been balling out of control.
You know, not as much as I expected. I was a little disappointed. No, thing is, first, my dad saw his brother, his youngest brother, who he talks to the most. He mistook him for somebody else because I think they were wearing masks. Like we weren't wearing masks, but Bangladesh people were still wearing masks and stuff. So he couldn't tell right off the bat. Right, but yeah, it was wild. You think about like how many people have died, got married, had kids, had grandkids
Wow.
in the last 39 years. So he's still there. He's there. He's doing a 2-month thing, and
To be honest, though, the more surprising thing for me is like you have a heart. I didn't think you'd be doing.
I was going to say that. I don't want to say it on there, though.
Like, damn, Mahin, you actually have some kind of heart.
yeah, it surprised me too sometimes. Right? It's kind of weird. Like you know, like yesterday, I was off Monday, right? And my oldest male cousin, he's about 20 years older than me. So I figured, you know, I'm off today. Let me give him a call because all my cousins are over there, right? Just to catch up and you know. I mean, it's not, but I don't know. I feel like there's this weird affinity, and I left when I was 2 years old. But I don't know what it is.
That's good.
Maybe that's why I'm back here today. I was like, it's a sentimental value.
Yeah, it is.
Coming
So,
back.
I mean, but did you feel like it was like, did you play like Kanye West Homecoming, come up in there, like just, you know, throw your weight around and be like, Mahin's back? Or like,
No,
what was
I mean,
it like?
I was just there 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I've been, right? It's my pops that's like,
Wait, so how did you go back and not your dad?
because he had some other
questions you don't ask, bro.
some other things. Okay, I forgot
questions
that.
you can't be asking on like the.
No, I forgot about that.
You know, I try to make another 39 years we can go.
Yeah,
You know what I
I know.
mean?
Because I'm like, man, that's kind of weird. Usually it's the parents that go back, right? But yeah, now it makes sense. What about
Yeah.
your mom? Your mom has family?
My mom's been
Oh,
back.
okay.
My mom's been
All right,
back. Yeah. So she and I went back 3 years ago. The kids went this time.
So you think he's gonna come back, or you just gonna fall in love again and stay back?
You know, I was worried that he was gonna like go back and just hate it. because he's been gone so long, and traffic and pollution and all that junk has gotten so much worse. But he's enjoyed himself. I think just connecting with everybody.
No, you know the difference is when people go back home. It's a beautiful thing. Is a lot of people when they grew up back home, they didn't have that much money.
Yeah,
which is why they left. But now they got money, and life can be very different over there now. Mashallah, if you have money, it can be much different.
Right. But the thing of it is, you're talking about people where they balling out of control. We had this reunion thing where we invited the whole family because we couldn't. It wasn't feasible in the 2 weeks I was there to go visit everybody, right? But we had to rent a restaurant out for Juma. And then basically just invited everybody and their mom to come through. And so there was some people that came through that when they saw my pops, they were like bawling uncontrollably. And I'm like, who this dude? Wow. And it wasn't even like it was like a relative, kind of like, his cousin or somebody. Because I wouldn't know who his cousin would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or his cousin's kid, who's like his age. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot of that where you get to know a lot of people and whatnot. But, it's cool. So he wants to go back maybe once a year or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good, man. So you go like every 3 years?
Every 3 to 4 years, yeah.
Mashallah.
It's good enough because, like, my kids went for this time too. And I know some of y'all have some. Your kids ever been to India?
My kids haven't been to India. They haven't traveled.
Sim, have your kids been to?
Yeah. They've been when they were young.
Did they any interest in? They had no interest in going to Hyderabad or something.
Not so much. I mean, I think some of them like it, some of them don't. But I think they're more interested in wanting to learn the language.
Yeah.
Because growing up, they didn't learn the native tongue, and
right.
They get kind of teased at with among their friends who do know the language. Yeah. So they want to be. They don't want to be so Americanish, I guess. Yeah.
My uncle, Tarek's dad. He gets so he travels to Pakistan a lot, right? And he had started his own organization for basically teaching people how to do things. Anyways, he was so pissed off that people are speaking Urdu and English together. Like, these people have become dumb. They can't even speak their native tongue anymore. And in Pakistan, they feel so insecure. So he started this whole initiative called like Hamari Zaban. Like, so basically, just to make sure that people speak in their native tongue. So like, it's a whole resource on. Like, he gets annoyed when people say like, oh yeah, like something like whatever, and then use the English word.
It's a status and class thing too.
Right. So he has this whole thing about it, and so it's just maybe there's a full cycle where you don't want to be a certain way, and then like you kind of want to gravitate towards your culture later on, and maybe you feel more
changes happen, bro.
You feel more secure in your identity, and you're like, hey,
changes happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Bangladesh in general, like I started following these like YouTube travel vloggers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to see in Bangladesh. Sometimes we don't get to see it because we're spanned with family, but I did get to see I think the governor of the Mughal governor of that district of Bihar, Bengal. We like I've been there before. They have his whole estate is there still from the 1600s. So I mean, there's a lot of history and whatnot if you look for it.
No, I've seen some of those food tour things in Bangladesh and stuff. I've seen some of those.
The food and whatnot. But there's also other places, Cox's Bazar. It's like the longest beach in the world. I've never been, but there's got to be or Sundar in the forest where the Bengal tigers are at.
What was the weather and stuff like?
I think it was like 85. It wasn't terribly hot.
Was it humid?
Nah, it wasn't that bad. It like the mosquitoes weren't as bad this time, except the last day I got lit up.
I heard.
How long were you there?
I heard
like 13 days.
Deep Woods off doesn't even work.
How was it for your diet?
Oh, like non-existent. There's no. I mean,
so you just kind of picked out.
No, I actually don't crave the food. I wasn't eating as much probably. Right? And I did get sick. Yeah, I got
relatively healthy though, right? I mean, you got to eat a lot of fish and stuff, right?
Nah, I avoided that stuff. Like I remember there's one house we went to. Like my wife has like her mom's cousin's place had like 5 different kinds of fish, and I was like, yeah, I'm a pat. Like my mom would like have to break it up for me because all the bones and stuff.
Yeah. I can't do that.
I can't deal with that, right? And then they would ask me, what do you want to eat? We had like tahari. I'm like, what's that? It's like goat feet. I'm like, that's not that great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, here's some lamb balls.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what, the best thing I had was have you ever heard of Gloria Jean's coffee?
Yeah,
I've had it before.
It's like in a mall, right?
Yeah.
They have it in Bangladesh.
Oh wow!
But
Are you sure it's authentic?
Well, they have steak on the menu and like barbecue with the coffee.
That's pretty cool.
Like so one of my good friends from Ohio, he moved back there like 10 years ago.
Oh, you told me about
these businesses, right?
The business guy.
Yeah. So he took me and my brother there, and we got like this big steak platter.
That's like me getting
it's good. It's
chicken teriyaki at a sushi place.
Yeah. So it's like Gloria Jean's. It's nice. It's nice, you know. So and we had some fried chicken that was pretty good. My brother was like looking for Uber Eats because he couldn't handle it.
Really?
Like he was like craving.
But they have like American places, right?
They do.
You can get a burger if you wanted to, and pizza. And
I haven't tried a burger there. I can't imagine it's any good. You know what
Believe
I mean?
it or not, I'm not gonna lie.
Though.
I'm not gonna lie. Some places over there, especially because their meat quality is different, the ones that tend to last are the ones that are generally good. Right, so it's not like I thought. Like, you know, when I never went to Asia except to Pakistan in 2018. Right, and I thought when I was gonna order a burger, I thought it was gonna be like a shami kebab and a bun. Right, I was like, oh god, how good can this burger be? But it was great. I mean, I thought it was just gonna be honestly like a chapli kebab, you know, some ketchup on it, right? No, but it was like a legit burger that was like actually like I would eat in America.
Oh, one thing, I was there during the World Cup, right?
Oh, snap.
Oh yeah, they're like big Argentina fans.
Dude, like that's the one thing I couldn't understand. Like I was asking, everywhere you go, Argentina and Brazil flags everywhere.
Yeah.
And Argentina, like I remember the driver my uncle hired is like super like Paca religious dude, right? You know, thugged out, big beard and everything, Argentina fan. And he was like not happy they lost, because everyone was happy, like Muslims were happy that Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, except this cat. You know, he was cranky that next day.
Bastard Saudi.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I just think it's just like,
no, but why do they like Argentina? Is it just because of Messi, or they actually like Argentina?
So I did some research on it when I got back, because I was still like I couldn't get a straight answer from all my family members who were like Argentina fans, because what they said didn't make any sense to me. They were like, oh, we just like Maradona. So the first World Cup that they actually got televised in Bangladesh was '86.
Oh.
And that's when Argentina won with Maradona. And Maradona was a beast.
Yeah.
So that was their first exposure.
Was that the hand of God?
Yeah, the hand of God.
Yeah.
And then he had this one goal he ran the entire length of the field.
Yeah. He died to all the defenders.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So from that point on, and it's to the point where like the Argentinian coach was giving props to Bangladesh. And now the Argentinian fans, they follow Bangladeshi cricket.
Wow.
It's great.
Nice.
It's like this kind of...
I thought maybe there's just a bunch of cocaine addicts in Bangladesh, you know. Like,
that could be too. I heard they do coke now at Dhaka College.
Oh, wow.
Or that's a thing, you know.
Didn't your dad have something to do with the World Cup or something like that in India?
My dad? No, my
Or
dad
a team
was...
that was training with the World Cup or something?
No, my dad, he was a coach for the Indian All-Star team.
What's that?
Their soccer,
Oh, soccer.
the best soccer or football, as the international people correctly call it. Yeah, so my dad was a little guy like Messi, and was one of the reasons why I like Messi so much is that my dad was just about his stature, same 5'6" height, skinny guy, captain of the team. He was really good. Like
that's one thing about football, though, right? Like, you know, other sports, like usually size makes a huge difference, right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying soccer doesn't, but generally you can
Is the microphone cutting off?
Yeah, there's something.
Try to connect your microphone. I think it's cutting up. There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, but generally speaking, like in soccer, you can be, you know, pretty much any size you want to be, right? And you can still relatively thrive. Like, I mean,
basketball players will make that same argument too, but in general, in sports, the bigger you are, the more athletic you are.
But I think you can survive better in soccer than you would, like, in say basketball or like football. You know.
So.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why I was smiling when you were mentioning that. I just remembered something. So, by the way, Sim's dad, mashallah, beast. I think it was like 10, 15 years ago, he ran the Chicago Marathon.
Yeah.
Right?
He was an avid marathon runner.
Yeah. No. But so check this out. So one day I'm with Sim in his basement and he's playing FIFA. All right. So
Sim's dad?
Me and Sim, and then Sim's dad comes downstairs. He's like, and he goes, Dad, look at this move. Look at this. He's showing him like this thing where he's like, you're doing this on there. You have to be able to do it for real. He's like, can you do it for real? I won't, Dad, but look.
I was doing that Rabona kick, I think it's called, where you kick the ball behind you and over your head and like over the goalie and fooling the goalie. He's like, if you do that in real life, the goalie will knock your teeth out. Like, there's no way you can never do that.
But the funniest part is he's trying to show his dad. His dad looked at him like he's crazy, bro. I don't know. His dad's a gangster. Mashallah, dude.
Yeah, anyone who's on FIFA 23, hit me up.
We still haven't played a game yet.
Did they
I don't want to play you, bro. The moment I play a game with him, bro, it turns out the moment I win, he will not give up playing until he wins a game. He will not leave the house. It'll go all night till 3 a.m.
bro.
So I refuse to play.
I never liked playing video games with him.
Did you
because
update?
I never played a video game with you.
Hold on. I got a really good
You
story.
suck at any video game.
Okay, look,
You do.
I do. I am horrible at video games.
Yeah.
So remember back in the day when we used to play Tekken? So what Mort used to do is I used to use the best guy. He used to use the slowest guy and just annihilate me. Look, I'll use it. And the guy was so slow. I think it was Jax, that dude who had like the metal arms and the panda bear.
I forgot, bro.
He used to destroy me.
Panda bear one time.
Yeah, I know.
No, but listen, I'll be honest. When it comes to sports game, I'm not that great at it. Like, but I mean, I'm okay in FIFA and stuff. But first-person shooter games are my games. Like, I'm very good at first-person.
Is he that good, bro?
Yeah, he's really good at Modern Warfare.
At first-person shooter ones, I love them. Like, I try to play like the UFC game, and it's cool, but it's so like. Oh, by the way, if you think FIFA has real intricacies, I'm telling you that UFC has way more.
I don't doubt it, but
yeah, it's just so much. It's not even fun. Like, I'd rather just watch the UFC.
Is there a UFC video game now?
Oh yeah,
UFC video
for
game.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah, it's been out for a while. But I tried to get, like you said, it was on sale, so I got it, right? And it's fun to try, but like, man, it's just so many things you can do because so many body movements, right? Like in soccer, yes, there's a lot of body movements, but especially with fighting, there's so many more because you're talking about
submissions,
submissions, right?
Yeah.
Defense. Anyways, point being is, but this guy has like I don't know, over 4,000 hours on FIFA, right? So I mean,
I was obsessed, bro. That's the reason why I
remember you had the cards, you were collecting them and everything.
No, the Ultimate Team card. So before this podcast started, I had to make a decision that I'm going to either continue playing this thing or not do this podcast because FIFA was like a religion almost. Because I had to get to Division 1. That's where all the best players play in Division 1, and there's only like 10,000. I don't know the exact number, but it's a very small, limited number of people in the world who are Division 1 players.
No, I remember that.
And every year I would be stuck in Division 3 or Division 2. Never been able. Then finally, after like 3 or 4 years of just playing it like repeatedly, I consistently was able to stay in Division 1. And that's when I'm like, okay, I accomplished it. No one even cares about this goddamn achievement. That it's only in my head. I can't teach my kids. I can't show it off to any of my friends because they all play American football. They don't play the regular FIFA.
Yeah.
I could only tell Mort, and he cares about it slightly, which is like on the periphery of his. But that's it. It was just an accomplishment.
You were super obsessed.
And it was one of those things that kind of was the defining moment for me, where I realized like, oh, you've poured thousands of hours into something that can absolutely be of no benefit to anyone.
No, I remember that.
Like, there's something, if you would spend 1,000 hours in swimming, or any other discipline,
horseback riding or something,
art, or anything, you can pass it on. You can share that experience with other people. With FIFA, or any other video game for that matter, it's a very personal experience, and it's a lot of those memories and things which I totally know that, and I affirm that they exist. There's some epic moments that happen, and that they'll always stay with you. But there's really no benefit that happens as a long term. It's something that you can carry with you. You can tell your kid about. What the hell are you gonna tell your kid? As this one time in my game in FIFA, it was 1990.
That's why your dad, when you were showing him the trick, he was like, "You got to do this in real person."
So
doesn't it save like highlights?
Stupid.
No, but I mean,
you can save your highlight, but
it means nothing.
But what does it mean?
Well, I had an idea. Look, so I just had an epiphany, right? What if, because you said before this podcast, what if instead of starting the Mad Mom Looks, you started the FIFA podcast?
No,
or a YouTube channel about FIFA.
No,
FIFA.
I don't like. That's not the world I live in. I mean,
no, back then.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Back then, yeah.
I mean, so like, because that could have taken off. Like, that's like a super niche thing that could have like
but to be honest,
crazy.
Back then, if you decided to do YouTube live with like video gaming, that might have been something, right? Big then, man.
Yeah.
But now I don't.
But he still wouldn't be fulfilled because he doesn't have to do with ideas.
No, I don't think he's the kind of guy to be like to give like the live reaction while he's playing. Like, he's so intensely focused that he's not going to do that, right? He's just going to be silent. He's just going to be watching the screen, right? But I kind of felt, I'll be honest, like the only thing remotely close to that I had was like in Modern Warfare 2, I was the top 1% in the world in domination, right? But there's nothing you can brag about. Like, what does that mean to anybody?
Yeah.
Like, hey, by the way, you know, I'm 1%, top 1% for domination. Yeah. What is domination? What are you talking about?
It doesn't help you get chicks?
There's nothing. No. Maybe nowadays it would, because nowadays they're all gamer girls, right? I guess now it's a thing now. But back then, no one gave a crap, right? You know what I mean? Like, nowadays I see, like, I guess right now, this whole new niche thing of
bro, there was some bint recently on Facebook or Twitter. She posted, all I want is a man who I can play Call of Duty with. I was like, whoa.
I was just going to say this. Apparently there's this new thing now among younger guys where they're noticing that guys are attracted by these. They had the fantasies about gamer girls. So I swear to God, so all these girls are going to Twitch and like they dress up whatever provocatively and they play video games on their webcam and like they're gamer girls, right? And like they just. It's just this whole new culture now. It's not even like they meet them. Like it's like they have someone they're chatting the Discord server and they play the same game and it's like on the webcam and like that's satisfactory for them.
Wait, hang on. Here it is.
Because I know they have special energy drinks for gamers now.
They've had that.
You gotta stay up
That's
all
been
night.
forever. That's back from Counter-Strike days.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, they used to have a drink called Brawl. Remember that?
I just want to get married so I can play COD with my husband. It's like, wow.
Malak.
It's just,
I'm gonna hit you up.
it's like, what have you been all my life?
No, but I would want to play with her.
But it was like Yusha Evans. I think he did because he has a channel. He's like a da'i.
Oh, I've seen that. So
He does like gamer stuff too.
you know who else is like that? There's a guy, I didn't know that, but I realized that he was because his setup was so much like that in the background.
Yeah.
But there's another guy who's like that. It's a cool concept though. He's trying to reach out to the young people. There's a brother in the UK, his name is Ben Iqra. And so he set up like a Muslim gamers kind of thing where he plays these video games live and react. So for the Muslim people, like I actually got I got my Xbox after 5-6 years of actually bought a new one to play this game, and I got an invite like, "Hey brothers, Ramadan's coming up. If you want to join a chat friendly while we're playing games and listening to lectures, add me to the group, whatever." So apparently these kids are like listening to lectures while playing video games.
Wow, that's very interesting.
It's a different type of thing.
I tried to like Islamicize whatever gaming experience. So like in FIFA, you can create your ultimate team, and then I would make all my Muslim players like a whole team filled with like Muslim players and then their own.
With the flag too, you had a specific flag too, right?
Yeah, I mean you can pick your own emblems and logos and stuff like that, but you have to build chemistry between them. So they have to be linking with people from either the same league or division or the same country, and that would build chemistry between each of the players. So it's not just like, oh, I can pick all the Muslim players and make a team out of it. You have to have chemistry between each player so that the team itself will behave properly, or else they act all erratic on the pitch.
What do you think about Ronaldo now going to Saudi Arabia?
I think it's great. I mean, I think Ronaldo is past his prime. There's not a whole lot he's bringing to. I mean, I'm sure there's many teams who would still love him to have him, but I think it brings excitement around the sport in the Arabian Peninsula, and many young players will hopefully be inspired because Saudi Arabia actually has good national teams.
Yeah, did you see their national team? They had some phenomenal players. I mean, I look
for
at
years they've done. Decades.
I by the way, I follow some of it just because there's like some teams that I follow over there, like Ittihad, the club over there. But to be fair, I look at this move kind of like how remember David Beckham came to LA Galaxy. Yeah. It's not really like I mean, they paid him good money. But and he didn't really have many options, so it's a really good thing for him. But it also is a brand ambassador type thing for soccer in the States, and this would be something to do, like something for this. But and I think part of this happened as well too because I don't want to discount this, but in the World Cup, when you have an exposure to being in an Arab country, Arab team participating in the World Cup, doing pretty well in it, relatively speaking, that brings exposure from other organizations to even want to make a deal with you. Like the fact that Saudi Arabia could even make a play for, Ronaldo is a big thing, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning that people now, if other people see in the league that, Ronaldo went to Saudi to play, even they can probably get a lesser value person who will pay less money, but will want to go over there and play as well too, right? And so it kind of, because the or like the trading and like the cross leagues, players that come in, it's good for the sport and it's good for exposure and it's good for the Middle Eastern teams and the Muslim teams in general for them to learn techniques from other clubs, right? It's a good thing. Even coaches, everything. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Here's a Ronaldo things from that.
As you know, the football now, probably the last 10, 15 years, they are different. All the teams, they are more prepared. All the teams, they are ready. If you see, and you give the example of World Cup, the only team who won the champions was Saudi Arabia. Don't forget that.
Yes.
And you had many surprises. South Korea, for example, the African teams, Costa Rica, for example, they did a good job. It's not easy to win any games today because the teams, they are prepared. The football, it's different. The evolution of football is different. So for me, it's not the end of my career to come in South Africa. This is why I want
South Africa
change. And to be honest, I'm really. This is why I want to change. And to be honest, I'm really don't worry about what the people say. I took my decisions, and I have responsibility to change that. But for me, it's I'm really happy to be here.
He's on a mission.
I know the league is very competitive.
You think he's going to convert?
People don't know that as well, but I know because I saw many games. And
no. Hey, I just wanted to show the South Africa gap.
No.
He said he's showing South Africa.
What's so funny about that? I didn't get it.
That's Saudi Arabia.
That's how maybe called.
Oh, that's what he.
Yeah.
I thought he was giving shout outs. I thought he was giving shout outs. No, I was.
No. He doesn't even know where he's playing.
Okay, I'm not going to be racist, but I couldn't understand half what he was saying because of the accent.
Wow, freaking racist prick. This is the guy that went to all over the country. They understood the broken English. Shut up your mouth, Obama, and he doesn't understand this English.
What is he, German? Anyways.
Portuguese, you a-hole.
Bro, so check, since we were talking about video games. Bro, so the other day I was watching Al Jazeera, right? I was watching World News and Al Jazeera. Just me and my family.
Bias.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? Let's cast Al Jazeera because you know what I really miss, bro? Like, you know, back in the day when you used to have TV and everybody at night watching WGN News with the family. I don't know if you guys do that. I used to do that with my dad. Yeah. So my kids were casting some like cartoon stuff. I was like, hey guys, let's watch some news. So I just wanted to show them what it was like watching news back in the day, right? So Al Jazeera comes on and they're talking about like AI, and I was like, okay, typical AI stuff. But I was like, you know, my kids might be interested, and let me just see their reaction, this and that. So it kind of caught my attention. Even though the guy was super monotonous, he was talking about like in how Ireland, how people are getting bills from the government because of this new AI program that the government overpaid them on certain things. So then they're getting bills because the new AI system that saying that the government actually overpaid you on this, so this is what you owe the government type thing. Ever since they introduced this AI thing, right? And then they went to some other countries that were talking, and then they were talking about like criminal and like justice system of using AI, of how some AI will actually start honing in and researching people who's more susceptible to crime and who's not, and that kind of stuff, and just be on the lookout for them. And
yeah, they already do that.
No, I know. Yeah. So then they started getting into like biases and how you eradicate those biases with AI and this and that. So in the beginning, they were like, AI it won't be biased and all that kind of stuff. But then they're like, well, AI is made by humans, so there's some biases that are sometimes put into AI because it learns from our actions. And it got really cool and got pretty deep. And then after a while, the person said something, like, I'll tell you before I tell you what happened. The person said something that made me think, okay, now I know why conspiracy theorists have AI and AI taking over the world. I don't believe that, but I understand where it comes from, and I understand the direction that technology is going in. Like, look, we had computing, and then the next obvious step in technology is AI. Like, after you get to a certain point and you start progressing, you're not going to stop because it's just the way the world works. You just start progressing, right? Yeah. And that's why we got to AI, and then we got into AI actually making decisions on a legal level for us now, right? Yeah. But then the lady that was responsible for this, she was kind of like against it. Her name was, I can't remember her name. She's some big shot in Washington, D.C. And she said that it would be different, which I think they should work on, is for the AI to learn emotion so it can actually give a fair judgment. Right?
Empathy.
Yeah. And then she didn't use the word empathy, but that's actually what she meant, right? Yeah. Then what I thought about is that if you're going to take that step to try to program empathy into AI, which people have been talking about for a while, but when it comes to this level of like the social justice system, and they don't realize that that's the next step though, right? That's the next step, obviously, of progress in this AI and technological world, but they're actually going to create something that they were always afraid of. Right? An AI that's capable of being sentient, right? Or close to sentient, to the degree that if you instill it with that, then what are you going to instill it with next? And then what do you instill with after that? Because you don't stop there, right? So when they talked about like giving it feelings and empathy or just understanding human nature, then I was like, yo, that's kind of crazy.
But hold on though. I mean, a lot of our decisions are generally influenced partly in part by our emotions.
Yeah.
So when it's learning information, decisional behavior, right? It's already learning emotions.
Yes.
Right? Now, I mean, because even in terms of empathy, just as like the information is biased versus, you know, how a program, because keep in mind, AI is only taking information that is put into it.
Yes.
It can't, I mean, you know what I mean?
It's not going to come from nowhere. Yeah.
It survives on information that data you put into it. So the data that you, let's say you want to teach it, for example, empathy, right? Well, what data set of people, what traits of empathy are you going to program into it? Because the empathy varies from person to person and from groups to groups, right? So even that would not eliminate the bias because you'd have to still.
It wouldn't eliminate the bias,
right? So,
but the crazy thing is that when you get, look, people were always worried about how far is AI going to go, but when you start working on human emotions and human interaction and try to mimic it to the best of your ability, you're starting to create something that you're always afraid of, but it's naturally going to happen because it's progress. And that thing kind of like weirded me out because it's like, it's inevitable that it's supposed to happen and it's going to happen. But the people who were in the beginning of the presentation kind of against it said something that's actually going to trigger that.
So
do you understand what I'm saying?
You have to clarify when you're talking about AI, you have to talk about what area of AI. Now, if you're talking about a sentient being, in my personal opinion, if you believe that a sentient being can be created through AI, I think it's kufr, because I think that is a creation on its own that human being are doing, even though they're not making something out of nothing. It doesn't matter that there is a fully aware being that it has the same things that human beings have in terms of at least the qualities that makes them human in their head.
But that's the crazy thing. No, I know what you mean. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
I think it may be even indistinguishable between a human's behavioral patterns and everything. But in the end, there are many predictable and problems that will be associated with it that will be at least from a behavioral perspective, or it'll be very predictable.
No, I understand what you're saying. So you know what it made me think of? You know the brashness and the arrogance that goes into being an atheist, right?
Yeah.
A sentient AI reminded me of, it would be exactly like an atheist. Because there's no actual real feeling behind. Like if you see the like AI, look, this is how crazy this is, right? You're just teaching it lots and lots of behavior. There's nothing actually there as far as a ruh and consciousness. But it's making similar decisions to the way that an atheist makes decisions about the world around themselves.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So I saw it was something really weird, a weird feeling that I had. It was like, dude, this sentient AI is like an atheist. Very, very similar. They're very similar on how they operate. It's just this one has a ruh. The atheist human being has a ruh.
Yeah.
Right? But the AI itself is just lots of programmable behavior from billions and trillions of amounts of data. So outwardly, that's why they have like these mercenaries that are AI and like robots basically, and the accuracy and all that kind of stuff. They did all this testing and all that kind of stuff. But you see that the direction that we're going in is very, very natural that that's supposed to happen, because technology is not going to stop somewhere where we think it's going to be moral anymore.
But there's a theory that many people believe in related to the World Economic Forum, and there's this apparently great reset that the World Economic Forum is planning, where they're going to utilize AI for the next revolution, the next industrial revolution, for example. So I guess it would be the next AI revolution, where they would try to create a new type of society in the world. And that's one of these conspiracy theories, call it cuckoo or not, I'm just throwing it out there, but there is this idea that's being floated around that some of the leaders in the world related to the economic powers that be are paving the way for AI to take control of all of menial tasks, menial labor, and anything that is simple to do will be handled by AI.
But that's the thing. It doesn't stop there, right? They can do very advanced things, right? The more you probably heard about this. There's like, you probably heard about this too. There's like AI now that can like program and do like replace a lot of people that are like on a high IT level.
Yeah.
Right. And they can do mundane tasks and they can start off talking about it like that. But there's already AI that can do what humans can do on a very high corporate level in IT.
Yeah, and that's why I don't know if you heard of the whole controversy related to the whole learn to code movement. That there are many people who are against AI, and the proponents of AI would always say, well, you guys are always scared of this idea of being terrified of new technology coming out has always been there since the Industrial Revolution, but it always creates new jobs. And the problem with AI is that it doesn't create new jobs. It only creates programmers. Yeah. So the thing that the anti-AI, the slogan that they came up with was learn to code. So because it's like a stupid term, like how are you going to tell people who don't want to code or who have no interest in coding or just don't have the aptitude to code that you need to learn to code to feed your family, So that's where the whole learn to code controversy came up. You might hear some of the people on Twitter arguing about that.
Did you think about this when you were talking? Like, so you have this AI person, this being,
which
and how. But the crazy thing is like how human beings with this attachment to stuff, or attachment to materialism and sneakers or boots or whatever. Now you're gonna have like real human beings falling in love with like these like
it's already happening.
Yeah,
it's already happening.
Like it's like you get this attachment to like your kids entertain their teddy bear.
This
is like next level,
bro.
Yo, what's that Joaquin Phoenix movie where he falls in love with that computer? Her? I think it's called Her.
Okay.
Yeah. It was.
I never saw that.
It was such a good movie, man.
Really?
Yeah. He falls in love with this AI girl or AI program that was meant to make him feel not so lonely, but it was a great movie. I can't remember all the details.
Was that the one where he lived in the apartment and he put on like the video and the hologram appeared of like the woman? Ryan Gosling?
No, you're thinking of Blade Runner 2.
Oh, yeah. What am I thinking about? Yeah. No, but I know. But here's
so it's like a real physical thing, like a form.
No, it's not.
Not yet. I mean, they have robots. I mean, you've probably seen that, like in these presentations.
But, I've heard. Like, it was funny because I was talking to one of my coworkers yesterday on my way into work, and we're walking through the halls. I'm like, hey, did you get anything good for Christmas? It's like, not me, not really. I don't get nothing. But my kids, they got the Oculus thing, the VR. Right. Yeah. And then I was like joking with them, like, by the time our kids get old, man, they'll have VR spouses.
I think
it's already there.
It's already there.
Oh, already there.
There's
oh wow.
But I think in the VR world that we can't talk about on the show.
Yeah, I think though. I mean, I think when you talk about a sentient being, though, I think it's virtually going to be impossible.
It's not really a sentient being. It mimics a sentient being.
Yeah, and so what I mean, well, what is? And again, that comes down to definition. What do you define as sentient? Like meaning something that is able to feel, able to experience either emotional or physical feelings, right?
Yeah.
Or whether it be pain or pleasure, right? But the problem is that a truly sentient being, it naturally has that inclination, right? Yeah. Meaning that there are responses, and there's the central nervous system. There's a consciousness, right? That for example, we don't say our consciousness is created by something else. Yeah. There's no algorithm, right? This consciousness of a robot or an AI bot, whatever it may be, is something programmed by an algorithm, right? It's not just something like they're independently coming up with.
Yeah.
Now, the information may be that it is, it could be that it is, it's mimicking a particular person or a group of people.
Yeah.
But again, it's not natural.
But that's why I was talking about the atheist. The atheist is just going to see the result that comes out from the human. The result comes out from then they're going to see them the same thing. They're going to like, what is?
I don't think so.
No. What I'm saying is, look, they don't really nobody, when they're discussing consciousness right now, to them there's no definitive answer about consciousness.
I disagree. I think you might want to make the argument, but today, right now, people don't even know how to define consciousness.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, but I can certainly.
So they're going to say, how is that not consciousness for the robot?
It's a much no. It's not that. It's not that kind of thing. Not simply because you don't define it doesn't mean you're just going to equate it to everything, right? You're not going to conflate the terms of sentient and consciousness, right? Or mimicking of algorithms. They're not going to. That's a way to.
Yeah, I mean, like right now you can see some pretty cool things that AI is doing with the AI art. I don't know. Have you tried any of those apps where you can
see how you look like in the future?
Yeah.
Right?
Just a combination of what the arts, various artists. I don't know where it pulls all this data from, but it's really creating art from existing art that's already out there, and you can make it look like anything you want. You could make, what does a dystopian caliphate look like in the year 3099?
What will Mecca look like in 2050? Right. But the thing I think what's more important here though is that the effect on the human psyche, because some people will believe that they are sentient. It may not even be because it mimics something. They may think it's actually truly sentient. And it's interesting because in the late 1960s, Harvard or MIT, one of these universities produced an AI version of a response, like a chat program or like a software that would mimic an AI psychologist. And in today's term, it's very simple. It's literally just a chatbot. Right? It had a series of responses that would respond to these keywords.
That's what it is on a simple level.
But what they found though is that people viewed this as a sentient being, and they ended up pouring their hearts out to it.
Of course.
So what they perceive as sentient versus what is actually sentient is
of course different. I agree with you 100%.
So if somebody believed, I think that's the bigger challenge, right? It's not that is it truly sentient. What do people make of it?
You're right. Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So the idea here is that I think in that regards, you may have very little separation. People may feel the same. They may, because for example, in therapy sessions, the fact that you have something that looks like a human, mimics a human behavior,
acts exactly like it, reacts,
might be something that is more therapeutic and more inviting than sitting with a psychologist. Because in true fashion, I'm not saying this is all, but most people feel, I would argue that majority of people feel instant relief when they just talk about something, right? Just the fact that someone is listening is enough to feel better, unburden themselves, right? And I mean, I'm sure therapists offer other things like feedback and so forth and so on. But to be honest, the feedback can be mimicked by AI, right? Okay. And it can be so that alone, in that way, in the moment, they may realize it's not a sentient being, but in that moment, it feels sentient.
Yeah.
And I think in those applications, it could be groundbreaking, because now people who are reluctant to go to therapy because they don't want to unburden themselves to a human, right? Or someone might judge me. They have no problem talking to
you're right.
a semi-sentient or appearing to be sentient AI robot.
Yeah.
Now let's tickle our noodles a little bit here, and you guys know about this whole Chat GPT thing. It's like a software that a company, DALL-E, I think DALL-E or Open, I think it's called OpenAI, who invented this, and you can basically have a conversation with an artificial intelligence being. It sounds like a very natural conversation. So it's basically predicting the right responses to say based on the questions you give it. Now, I'm thinking, like, if you take these same type of algorithms and models that are used to create this AI, what if people start wanting to create their own Quran?
Their own what?
Their own Quran. Not necessarily the Quran. The Quran is the Quran, but we know the challenge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that no one will ever be able to create a book like this, but they're going to attempt to, at least, right? And it may confuse people based on some of the remarkable language it comes out with. You know, it may not necessarily be at the level of the Quran, but it may be remarkable enough to get people or fool people, or because people.
No, there's already been books out there that have fooled people. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least in our modern world, right?
Yeah,
we know in history there were many liars and people who made proses and put a few lines together to make it seem like it's very magical or
yeah.
But you know why I think it would never. So okay, here, poetically, it may, I don't want to say mimic, but it can follow the pattern of the Quran. The problem, though, is the AI is going to have is that the information that is given to us in the Quran is obviously from a divine source. And that information is even certain things that humans don't know, right? So, for example, how many times have we discovered something later on, like a generation before had no idea what the Quran was talking about.
Yeah, right.
But yet the generation later was able to, kind of piece two together, like, this is perhaps what the Quran is referring to.
Yeah.
And I don't think AI would be able to, because it doesn't have knowledge of the unseen, to be able to duplicate that. Because, as we say, right, the Quran is one of those books that no matter how many times you read it, it appeals to the human.
Yeah.
Because it's from a divine creator, right? And it makes you, it's one of those books when you make tadabbur, you find things in it that you didn't find before.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that, that divine source behind it is the reason for that.
Yeah.
Isn't one of the fundamental flaws of that argument as well that you're taking the source material and you're saying that you're trying to come up with something new from that same source? Like, if you're truly honest to the discussion, you want to make your own holy book that can challenge the Quran, come up with your own material, not like taking the same framework that the Quran and the linguistics and all the rules behind the Quran. I mean, I can't even mention all of those in one sentence, but every rule and everything that's related to its language, you're essentially just pulling that or extracting that from the Quran and then trying to make something.
But you know what I'm thinking about right now too in my head? The fact that, let's say you make something quote unquote comparable. Well, you make something quote unquote comparable, right? The fact that Sayyidina Muhammad could do this 1400 years ago, and the fact that it didn't happen at one time.
Yeah.
It was revealed over a period of 23 years. Yeah. The fact that, for example, these ayat would match or it would talk about this. For example, the idea of Surah Al-Hadid being in the middle of the Quran, being in the middle of the surah talking about iron coming down. Yeah. Like these little intricacies that couldn't have been dictated by, there's no way the Prophet said, this ayah is going to be, I remember this format, because the ayah came differently.
Yeah.
The Jama of the Quran, the compilation of it, it happened later on. It happened after the completion of the Quran. But so how could he? Because one verse might have been revealed in Mecca, one might have been in Medina, and then they put it together.
You skipped over something important. At least you went through it really fast. About the ayah about the iron coming down, right, from space, right? That was unimaginable to even modern science up until recent history.
Yeah.
So these type of things that. I mean, AI will have predictive intelligence as well. It'll be able to look at patterns in the world and be able to maybe find a general idea of what's going to happen. But that's no different from any kind of soothsayer either. There's been so many fortune tellers that someone who just recently died from was it Romania or Bulgaria? Her name is Baba something.
Oh, she was some kind of she was like Nostradamus type figure, right?
Yeah, she had so many
predictions about the king of even England. They were talking about how when Charles will become president in the world or something like that. Yeah, I remember you talking about. Yeah.
What was her name?
Anyways, while you look that up, but I think go ahead.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is, look, before even this discussion takes place, something to give it a little more context is that the gold standard for the Arabic language, whether you're a Muslim or you're a non-Muslim, whether it's for grammar, if it's for rhetoric, whatever sciences that people have derived from the Arabic language, the Quran is the gold standard that everybody takes from, no matter what religion you are, for it to be the ultimate source for the Arabic language on all levels, right? So it actually ends up becoming a disservice, and actually almost like a wrong question or wrong attempt for anyone or anything to try to attempt to make something that's relevant to the speech of Allah, which is the Quran, or something like it, is because the standard itself is in the Quran of what constitutes grammatically if something's correct or incorrect. So in order to try to come up with something like it, number one, you have to come up with your own rules, which makes it Arabic incorrect. Right? So imagine that. Let's just say grammatically, if the Quran, just on a grammar level, there's many sciences, linguistic sciences.
It's the lexicon.
It's the lexicon. It is the standard. If somebody says that I have became a specialist in the upper echelon of the world in the Arabic language, whether it's a Jew, Christian, Zoroastrian, it doesn't matter. They have to actually end up with the Quran. They have to, or else they actually haven't studied the Arabic language like it's supposed to be studied. So if the Quran is the standard for what rules are in the Arabic language, how do you develop something else? What are you going to do? Make new rules just grammatically to become something better or like it? That's the first thing, even grammatically. So even on a very grammatic, academic level, it becomes impossible, right? But Allah still says, let them try, right? In Surah Al-Baqarah, right? فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ. Try to even come up with a surah just like it, if you want, but you're never going to be able to, right? As Allah says. So just on that level. Now, even if you have like on a rhetoric level, like an eloquence level, people have tried, and this still is the truest statement, which I believe, and history's proven it. All the people that have tried to develop something in a linguistic structure like the Quran, the harder they tried, the farther apart they became, right? That brings us to something else as far as the Quran is concerned. There's two levels of eloquence. There's eloquence of the Quran, there's eloquence of human beings. Eloquence of human beings is amazing, it's beautiful, they become very poetic. But the more the human being elevates in his mastery of the Arabic language, the farther his mastery is from the language of the Quran. There's nothing that the human being can do about it. It sounds really beautiful, it's amazing, it's poetic, but the standard of the Quran as far as eloquence is very, very different. So the more the human being advances and the better he becomes, the farther he comes away from the structure of the Arabic language. Which is why if he wants to be anything like the structure of the Quran, he has to just recite the Quran. There's no other option for him. You understand what I'm saying? So it's in two completely different realms. So on the face, the reason why I mention all this, on the face value, somebody who doesn't understand the Arabic language, somebody who even is a specialist, thank God we have specialists of the Arabic language still, that they see that, like, yeah, for the layperson, they don't understand any of this. So yeah, it may sound cool to them, right? There's how many times have you read a hadith to somebody and you could tell them it's the Quran, they'd believe it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the thing is also, I was just thinking about this too, like, it's not just knowledge of the Arabic language.
It's not.
I'll tell you, like, for example, وَالطُّورِ سِينِينَ وَطُورِ سِينَاءَ. These things that the scholars differ over, like, what this means, and how come it's called different, like, in different places. The Mount of Sinai, right? In Arabic. But they say that this is something the people of the past, who Allah was addressing the Jews, something they would understand. Because the name was known to them and them alone. Right? And so that information, AI would never know. Because that information is lost. It's gone. Like when you talk about, for example, something that was a tradition of, let's say, the Arab al-Ba'ida, but the Jews somehow inherited from them through time. But that knowledge is no longer there. Yep. Or, for example, the dead languages, like the Proto-Semitic languages, that somehow this was like a generation of the Arabic language, the precursor to the classical Arabic, but it was relevant to the other sister languages that were around that came from the mother Arabic.
Yes,
but the Quran references this because people preserve that in their liturgy and other things like that, and how the Quran appeals to them. Like maybe when the Jew reads something, in the Quran, I recognize that from our old scriptures, right? And so there's things like this that the Quran has because it comes from a divine source that knows knowledge of everything and knows how to appeal to the person and the individual reading the Quran. Right, so the things like that. By the way, we do have someone backstage, just so you know.
Right, we're going to go ahead and add you in. Welcome to the show, Abdul Muhaymin. Am I saying it that right? Muhaymin.
Yeah. Hey, assalamu alaikum. You hear me?
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry with my camera. I prefer to be anonymous if that's all right with you guys. How's everything good?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah. I just want to add a little bit to the conversation, but it seems like you guys got a lot of the bases covered. I'm a software developer, so I'm interested in this topic a lot. I've been actually working on some projects myself regarding AI, so I thought I'd give my 2 cents.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Yeah, brother. I think if you start from the base definition of what is AI. Like, for instance, general intelligence, like general artificial intelligence, and then super artificial intelligence are like two different things. So like general artificial intelligence is like when we have this AI that's as smart as like a human. And then a super artificial intelligence is when you get to the point where it's as smart as the entire human race, like every human combined. So like that's the metric they follow. And like being in my own experience, understanding like a little bit of code, like I see it just as a calculator, you know, like, you know, 50 years ago, if someone gave you a nice Casio calculator and you saw that, wow, it calculated 5 digits with 10 digits so quickly, like I could never have done that. Like but you don't, you know, it's really smart, but you know, it's only smart in that way. So like in the same sense, it's calculating other things. It's just a big calculator, you know, it's calculating, you know, all these different, whatever you throw at it, like write me a book and it's going to calculate, oh, what kind of book? And it's going to figure out what's a good answer, you know? So it's not like sentience, you know, I really.
So since you're a programmer, you understand the idea of, you know, making various modules and if you have enough modules that can mimic the human brain function where you're able to be creative, you know, at least maybe you're not even a sentient being, but you're creative, and that's essentially what's happening with at least a lot of the AI art generators. They have at least, I don't know how many number of modules, but they're able to look at various metrics related to art and come up with things that are very pleasing to the eye, and it's able to utilize many different colors and just from someone who does, you know, painting on the side and stuff. It looks like it's someone intelligent behind it. You know, it's not random
design.
You know, it's not random. It's not abstract. It's the colors are fitting together in a scheme, and it's actually thought-provoking as well. You know, even though it's using existing art that's out there, you know, who knows, countless numbers of pieces of art, but it's pulling all that information and making something beautiful and incredible from it. So at least from a programming perspective, think about it that way. Like, what if they have thousands of programmers just working endlessly to make all these different modules that are mimicking the human brain and the experience of being human and everything that comes with it, at least on an artificial level, right? And we're not even talking about using that and putting it in a robot that's made by Boston Dynamics.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, no, I get it. You know,
just imagine like thousands of Abdul Mohimans out there in some factory that'll probably it'll probably be factories of programmers in the future. Who knows?
But you know, the thing I think about it, like, you know, no matter how good we've gotten at programming, right? A human will always be able to tell a glitch. I mean, it may not be as noticeable, but there'll be certain, like, even talking about, even in terms, like, for example, as good as Boston Dynamics has gotten their movement of the robots, there's something mechanical about it. You can tell. It doesn't it can do all the things a human being can do agility wise, but the movements are mechanical. Yeah. And the same thing would be mimic in terms of the feeling, the emotion, the response.
But the thought is more, and let me interrupt you there. The thought is that all those things are just kinks that are going to be ironed out, and that these are just the beginning interpretations of what will be eventually human-like robots that will be indistinguishable.
Like when computer animations first came out, how weird they looked.
No, I'm sure they are, but what I'm saying though is that there's always, even like when you're playing video games, right? There's certain things that you do as magical, you can make it move and characters move, right? You always know, oh, that movement's slightly off, or these things are slightly off. You'll know because there's a certain element of naturalness to the way that human beings are.
You know what? I got the perfect example for you. One of the biggest challenges of game creators is that they can't mimic the human eye.
Yeah.
They can't bring life into, no matter how amazing and smooth the models are. In whatever, name your video game, name your favorite video game. No video game has that life in that character,
especially when they're close up to the face and the eyes and the movement they're doing. It's something completely different. like the naturalness behind it. And I think that that's the area. Like, I mean, there's so many elements. It's not just about the responses they're giving you. It's the timing of the response, how they give the response, when they give the response, even just the facial. I mean, I'm sure they're going to get very close to certain facial expressions, but even how mechanical certain things work. Like, you know, some people's reactions, like switching between emotions so quickly, the way, because it's natural for our body, right? These things that would happen for something to learn, sure, they'll get very good at it. But there will be certain things I believe that humans will be able to tell the difference between a human and an AI, but they'll be subtle, but it'll be there.
Go ahead, Abdul Mahin. You were saying, man. Go ahead.
No, I just feel like it depends on how we define these things. Like how are we defining the word human? How are we defining these? It's like the whole gender debate, transgenderism. We're defining the which, you know, the way they're implementing is they're changing the definition of woman. So they're changing these definitions to not include like real things like your actual member and, you know, your actual chromosomes, and those things don't count. It only matters what's in your head. So like you know, that's how this is like very Dajjalic. They change the definitions and they want you to perceive this facade of what a human is when there's more factors to what defines a human. Like our experience as humans, we have a lot of things that are unexplained. We have something we call instinct. And it's like, you know, like globally, everyone has the same experience when they're just walking down the street and there's no five senses involved, but somehow they know someone behind them is looking at them, and they turn around and they have deadlock in their eye contact, and they know, you just know someone is looking at you. And you know, Rasulullah ﷺ said, like, you know, the evil eye is real. So there's all these different factors of human experience, and especially the ruh. Like, there's the soul. When you have a soul to soul conversation with somebody, you know, like you're really connecting with their soul. And you know, that's also in hadith. I don't know the exact wording about, you know, but you have like people who you met with before you were born, and you're said to have been, you know, close to them or something along those lines. I'm not sure about the exact.
Even firasa, things like this, or the mother's intuition, the mother's like these things that you have. It's just something you can't teach this to a computer.
Right. So what I'm saying is. What I'm saying is all of these are just, the computer is just a calculator. It's just a calculator. It's just calculating whatever you give it. And it's this, in this context, is calculating patterns. So like, you know, when you're signing up for a website and it's telling you, are you human? And it asks you to recognize where are the traffic lights, or where are the bikes, or where are the trucks, right? And you're basically teaching the AI. That's a company that's using humans to teach the AI to figure out how to recognize a bike or how to recognize a mailbox.
Wow, I never thought about that.
And so, you know what I mean? So you're teaching it to recognize these patterns, and it goes into this big database of all the mailboxes that's confirmed. These are mailboxes. And then it can tell, then it seems to be like human because all these humans taught it. Now it can give the pattern of a mailbox very easily. If you ask it to draw a mailbox, it could probably draw a mailbox based off the same data. So it's the same thing, just where we're teaching it different patterns. And everything, like now in terms of human speech and communication, everything that's on Facebook, and Facebook is a huge database of people saying things, right? Facebook is basically using all that data, regardless of what you say. They're using all that data to create an AI based on human emotions, human speech, and then it just mimics these patterns. Someone said this, oh, some girl is crying about her boyfriend breaking up with her, and then people are responding and saying, oh, you'll be okay, and it mimics these emotional responses. So it's not at all human at all. It's nothing about the ruh, it's nothing about emotion. All it is mimicking patterns, and it's giving this like Dajjalic facade of making you think, you know, oh wow, it's a human, it's sentient.
That's exactly what Sheikh was saying, right? In the beginning, he was saying that this is what the atheists will love. Atheists, because they believe that we're just matter. There's no ruh, there's no anything.
Just results.
You know. There's nothing that transcends what is matter. Or what exists right in front of us.
Yeah. So in your opinion, since you're a software developer, do you ever think that will get to a point where you would label these things as sentient?
No, I don't think so. Even if you have like super intelligence, it's as smart as the entire human race, right? Like when ChatGPT came out, they actually nerfed it. They made it weaker, right? It's instead of a real weapon, they changed it into a Nerf gun. You know what I mean? They made it weaker, and so
Wait, why did they do that?
For instance, because when it first came out, there were people who were really creative, hacker type guys who were like, what are the biggest vulnerabilities in these top 10 apps in China? And then it listed them. Then it said, what are some SQL injections that I can use to take advantage of those problems in their app? And then it gave those, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It gave those SQL injections, and then it's just copy and paste from there. Yeah. So like they were like, wait, this is dangerous. And it's this year ChatGPT 4 is supposed to come out, which is supposed to be way stronger.
Yeah.
So like, so what I'm saying is, I lost my track of thought. Basically what I'm saying is it's a calculator. You can't just say it's a human. When we get to the level of super intelligence, like the example of the Quran you're saying, like I'm fully confident. I actually thought about this today, actually, like, the Quran challenge, can it overcome the Quran challenge? No, I don't think so, because the Quran is predictive in telling you what the future holds. And the Quran has never been mistaken in telling you what the future holds. And it gives you scientific facts about things that are undiscovered, like the whole universe expanding. And you know what I mean? We never knew that. And you never know, like maybe in 1,000 years from now, Allahu Alam, it seems like the Dajjal's right around the corner. But if 1,000, you know what I mean? But 1,000 years from now, they might say, they might figure out something about antimatter or the quantum whatever, right? And we find out these new things and we're like, wait, this is exactly accurate according to the Quran. So you know what I mean? It's not going to get there.
I don't want to so I'll tell you something. The only real fear I have about AI is decentralized AI, because it can be getting the wrong hands, right? And that can be a whole other mess. But I don't want to be like all doom and gloom. I do believe there's some good I'm excited about AI. I think there's some good use cases for it. I'll give a small example. In the political arena, like polling how the country feels about something and deciding on people's, based on the information they have on people, how they generally feel about the way the country is being run, about laws, about things like this, because based on people's searches, their input, their data, their personality types, all that can be used to collect information and say, hey, how does people feel about X law or this concept, right? Because you have so much access. Because it's better than actually going and asking somebody, because somebody may lie to your face. Somebody may just, but their consistent data input over years of actually doing something is far more reliable than a one-time answer.
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's a show about that in the future, Raised by Wolves on HBO.
Oh, I didn't know.
Has one faction of humans in the future. They believe in the AI who's determining their decisions, and it's completely atheist. And one is a faction of believers who believe in a god and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I think it could be a use case, right, where you can kind of pool massive amounts of information over long periods of time, and then be able to say, okay, a person feels content or discontent, or they would gravitate toward these or even recognize changes in the way societies are moving and feeling about particular issues, right? I think in that sense, it would be very, very helpful in terms of, where AI can show benefit. I don't think it's all doom and gloom.
Abdul Mahin said something about, he mentioned the Dajjal's around the corner, right? And this whole conversation about AI, I was thinking about this tweet that we were talking about offline about this crazy feminist professor who was made this ridiculous tweet about how she feels like she's got to, overcome this Quranic narrative that the misogynistic, patriarchal tradition has imposed upon the Quran. And so AI could be a thing where these people are so nufsy, they'll create their own anti-patriarchal feminist.
If the voices are out there, it's going to grab them.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, me and Sim were talking about this earlier before, right? If people are stupid enough to be Scientologists, like the dumbest thing in the world, created by a science fiction artist.
Tom Cruise, bro. You're talking about Tom Cruise there.
I mean, anybody. Tom Cruise or no Tom Cruise. I don't give a crap who it is.
Yeah, he was awesome in Eyes Wide Shut.
If you believe in Scientology,
how did you watch that? How did you watch Eyes Wide Shut? You barely watch movies. No, Eyes Wide Shut is
no. But I know my point being though,
movie. You're not supposed to watch that.
If you can believe,
I'm gonna tell your sheikh.
No, the point that if you can believe in something as silly as that, right, and it's extremely, people are passionate about it. Like Tom Cruise just mentioned, was jumping on a sofa about it, right? So how hard would it be to come up with something reasonably to about a Quranic narrative, right? And say, oh look, you see, this is what we determined, right? And so I believe the people who already have a lack of iman and a lack of faith and lack of understanding in themselves will easily fall prey to that. And this always comes back down to the idea of learning your religion, seeing the wisdom behind certain things, understanding wahi, understanding the whole process of the relationship between Allah and the messengers and the duty. But if you don't have that, if you're simply looking at what it can do for me and not, meaning that in terms of how do I tailor my lifestyle, either you two ways to look at it, right? A believer would say, how do I tailor my lifestyle to the Quran? And the other person who's maybe lukewarm or really an unbeliever is going to say, how do I tailor the Quran to my lifestyle? If you're those kind of people, then you'd be a prime candidate for something like what you just mentioned.
One of the things
actually, if I could interject, I think that's a great point, because like about the whole Dajjal thing, like if you think about it, and you can ask an AI to form the perfect human system of belief and everything to fit whatever every human need for happiness and peace or whatever, and you'd create something counter to what Islam prescribes, and it would be exactly what the Dajjal's message would be at the end, right? Because that's exactly the antithesis of what Islam is presenting.
One of the things, at least from our faith, we've ignored, at least in this discussion, is that the concept of our fitra and our inclination towards truth, and how an AI doesn't have that. I mean, look, you can't argue with a non-Muslim about this. This is just among us, right? But at least as Muslims, we understand that this ruh will be the source point, right? It'll be the place where all of our moral goodness comes from. Even when we don't have Islam, we have this compass. Internal compass in us that's pointing us in the right direction. And will this AI have that same kind of function? It won't. It's operating from zeros and ones, and the material world, the binary world, right? So
Sheikh Amr, how did this fit into this? Yeah, Sheikh Amr. I'm serious question now. That's why, because I'm being serious now. That's why I call you Sheikh. I only call him Sheikh when I'm being serious. No, but in in Islam we talk a lot about the heart. Qalban Salim, things like this, right? How does this fit in? Because to us in science, in the modern world, people just see the heart as a function that just pumps blood. But in Islam, the heart is more than just that, right? So how does this fit into, like, as far as establishing someone as a human being, someone that counters the evil with this, right? I mean, do you make any connection with this and like this possible outcome of these semi-sentient AI?
I think, first of all, I don't know what you mentioned. Something very interesting, but I don't know what the question was.
So, no, question like this, because like, I'm glad he answered. I'm glad he's paused and didn't just ramble on about something.
No, he said something that was very interesting. I was like, that's really interesting.
No, what I'm saying is that
it sounded smart, but I don't know what it means.
No, what I'm saying is that in Islam, right, the heart is more than just a function of pumping blood, right? And so
Allah says they have hearts and they don't have aql to their hearts.
And this is obviously something a science had not made a connection to.
Oh, mashallah, you became a Sufi since I left?
Yeah.
No, but this is something. This is tasawwuf, bro. Even Hazm.
His people call it tazkiyah, okay?
Tazkiyah.
Oh, that's so easy with the tasawwuf.
Anyway, we Salafis love the heart too, okay? we're mushy at the heart too. Anyway, but my point being though is that this is something that is unique to the Islamic perspective. I don't find other religions mentioning, right? And I don't see, like, if other, like, even scientifically, they don't make mention of this, then how can they truly replicate a good person, a bad person? Because the heart obviously impacts decisions that you make Islamically. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So how do you, why, my question more to you is this, then how do you actually, what's the fear behind having AI and mimicking humans if that element is not there?
No, I don't think anyone should have any fear. Just to answer the last thing you said, I don't think anyone should have any fear because it's not devout or well-grounded Muslims that are going to have a fear of AI. We're not intimidated by it by any means.
Why not? Well, you can still say AI is a threat without acknowledging that it has nothing to do with human beings or that it's a creation of Allah. But There are plenty of functions that can be used from AI, just like how the brother mentioned that you can find all kinds of vulnerabilities in systems around the world utilizing AI that can bring down.
Be exploited. But
what I'm saying is, look, just to even backtrack, look, when you're at work, when I'm at work, and I don't know what something means, I do a Google search on my other screen. I just utilized AI, right?
And you use an algorithm, but
I use an algorithm, but there's an AI. I'm performing what an AI system would do in a nanosecond.
Okay.
Right? What I just did. I went and searched something, grabbed it from all that data that's online, and I'm spewing it out somebody.
Okay.
Isn't that kind of what AI is going to be doing?
Yes, in a very rudimentary sense.
Very rudimentary sense, right? So what I'm saying is this, that all those things that are available right now is going to be available to AI just a lot faster and a lot more of it. Is that incorrect or is that correct?
It's
any hacking that a human could do, all that information they're getting from a rudimentary AI processes that AI is going to be able to do it.
So I'm gonna just put it this way: right? It's about computing all this information and giving an output.
Yes, exactly. Okay. That's what I said. When somebody asks me something at work, I don't know. I search it up on Google, and then I output. I am the vessel of almost what AI is going to be doing.
Yeah, similar.
You know what I'm saying? I should have said input.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that look, I'm talking about on the threat from a level of our belief. That's all I'm talking about. Physical, impeding on people's privacy, all that. Of course, those are dangerous. And but I'm talking about on the level of a Muslim's looking at a quote unquote sentient being to some, which is AI, and saying, "Oh my God!" So they're able to create human beings. Like for us, that doesn't waver our iman. That doesn't waver our iman at all, and we don't care about that. It shouldn't. And so the heart, what you're mentioning is about the heart, and he mentioned the ruh and the fitra, and that's all inside of us that can never be replicated by any AI or anyone, right? And what people who think that AI can be like a human being is seeing the reaction that comes from somebody who has a pure heart, a sound heart, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says the person's not going to be successful until they come to Allah bi qalbin salim, right? With a sound heart. Right? What the sound heart does is it manifests onto your limbs, your eyes, your everything that you do. It's manifested. It's a manifestation, but it's inside. What AI can do is it can create the manifestations of a human being outward. Let's say it comes to a robot, right? It'll move limbs, it can react and all that. But what makes the human being is the ruh, and when the ruh leaves, we're just matter, and Allah buries us of what we're from. He tells us to bury ourselves, but the main meat of the matter is gone when we die, because that is what makes us. The ruh is what keeps us alive. When the ruh goes away, we're just taking up space. And that is something obviously that the AI can never mimic, and that's why it's never going to waver our iman.
That's kind of what I was looking for too. But I was kind of thinking about this in a different light, because I'm thinking it's going to be a question that the next generation of Shayukh have to answer. Like, what if someone goes and commits some kind of lewd act with an AI robot? Is it zina? Like, I mean, do you know what I mean?
That's a great question.
I mean, like, because it's not technically a human being.
Great question.
Sheikh, you just sound like that one girl from What Is a Woman? That's a great question. Remember when she
wouldn't it fall into the same ruling like masturbation?
Well, I don't know what it was.
No, but you see what I'm saying?
It would be like masturbation, though, kind of, right? Like if you ejaculate, right?
That's what I'm trying to say. It would be
there's fahisha and then there's zina.
Yeah,
right?
of course. That's what I'm saying.
The definition of zina is that the head of the penis disappears into the vagina, right? Okay. That's the fiqhi definition.
Right.
The eloquence of Rasulullah, the way he said it is, he said it's the pen dipping inside of the inkwell. That's what constitutes zina, right? If AI is not human and it doesn't have a ruh and you have sex with it, you're doing fahisha, but you're not committing zina.
Yo, but I think they're gonna check. I'm telling you right now.
Like, you're giving Mort the green light, bro.
It's gonna change the game.
No, I'm not giving the green light. I'm just saying this is gonna be a test for everybody when it comes out.
No,
bro, it's a test. It's a test for everybody.
Brother, our acts already jacking off.
No, what I'm saying
just add this to the repertoire. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not, brother.
What I'm saying is that this is gonna be such a
it's a game changer.
I know. I'm saying like it's a game changer.
No, it's obvious.
Jews are saying, you know what? Who especially like I'm thinking like the MGTOW and like I'll just
What's a MGTOW?
not zina, MGTOW, men going their own way.
Oh.
right.
What?
It's called MGTOW.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, it's a movement. It's a red pill.
Hilarious bitch.
I don't.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant. I've seen it. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
that
yeah.
was. Okay.
MGTOW means men going their own way.
I thought you were saying something.
That means like masturbation or something?
No.
Right? What does that mean?
I'll tell you. Hold
No,
on.
the way you said, hold, before you continue, when you said it, I thought you were saying something in an
Midtown?
Eastern language.
No.
don't
No. But so MGTOW is an extension of the red pill movement, where there's guys who say, you know what, if women don't fix themselves, we're not bothering them at all, and they believe in like abstinence and like
Is that the black pill movement? Is that
not like a black pill. It's just part
Or
of the
incels?
red pill. No, not incels. Or incels or
Incels want to get laid.
Yeah, incels
Oh,
want
they
to
just
get laid.
can't.
They just can't.
These guys
They're
are
bums.
about like semen retention and like saying, you know what, until women
Preserving
fix up,
your seed.
Yeah, we're not
Right.
gonna do anything with them. We're gonna go our own way. And
I
live our
didn't-
own
wow,
life.
what a thing! Like,
Yeah, it's called
how's that a
MGTOW.
thing? Like,
It is.
How
I
could
told
you
you
waste
guys
your
about this,
energy
preserving
about
your seed. I
It's
told you
called
guys about
MGTOW,
this.
yeah. I mean,
But-
Wow.
there's a whole movement. Like, they're like, yo, when men preserve their semen retention, like they're more productive, they're
They're
more alert,
more healthy, yeah.
whatever. Anyways, it's but the point being that these guys will have, because a lot of that was that we don't want to be with women because it's a downfall for us. Because right now, modern women are so chaotic and so destructive to the male anatomy and the male psyche that it's just we're just gonna go our own way until they fix themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, I'm saying for those guys, right, this is like a game changer. Right.
It is a game changer,
Right,
but I'll
for
tell
them.
you, it's a short-term game changer.
Yeah, of course.
It's very
solved.
Yeah, because the thing is, look, that was that pandemic that happened in Japan with all the dolls and the sex dolls being made, and people actually just having relationships.
pocket
It was
girlfriends.
messing with all types of relationships with people and human beings, and human interactions are changing. Humans start rewiring their brains accustomed to something else other than human beings, right? So what happens with the AI is, yes, look, we tell people as Muslims, look, it is still haram. It's fahisha because Allah ordered you, number one, to do it in wedlock. But when you start doing with robots and dolls and all that, what is the result of all of that now?
We're dogs.
no dolls?
Dolls,
These are dogs. They're like,
dolls. What ends up happening is that on a short term, somebody who's very short-sighted, somebody who's instant gratification, it ends up alleviating their need for human beings now. And for most people, like all the different pill movements that are coming out, for them, they're just going to be taking the pill just for the doll, not for anything else, right? That's going to be their life.
I mean, I still think there's going to be a segment of the population that desires to have children and
of
that
course.
experience. And because I mean, right now, that seems like a temporary fix for a horny guy.
Yeah,
Well,
temporary, yeah.
but it's gonna be a lot.
But eventually, it's going to be like
It's gonna be a lot of our brothers that we know got screwed in these divorces. They had their kids, and then, rather than remarry, you get yourself one of these things.
No, well, I was thinking, like, what if you have, like, what if the guy is, like, a dude, and he's already married, but, his wife isn't putting out enough, and he doesn't want to have to do a second wife thing, so he just gets, like, this thing that his wife approves
it's
of.
like being married and committing fahisha.
Yeah, I know.
It's more
It is.
economic.
So
It's
would
like
it be
being married and committing fahisha.
So would it
That's
be
what is.
adultery?
It would be adultery because it's not a human being.
I mean, I guess it goes back to like.
It comes back to a mukallaf. Look, what it comes back to is a mukallaf male having zina with the mukallaf female.
Wait, what's a mukallaf?
Mukallaf is somebody who's bound by the Sharia with Allah.
Yeah.
Isn't that all
they're
Muslims?
sane, they're Muslims. Yeah,
I mean, a certain age.
So
yeah.
what I'm saying is that the AI will never be mukallaf.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll never have a contract with Allah.
So I think it comes down to like how much are we normalizing sin?
Yep. Exactly.
Exactly.
But I think potentially in a real life scenario, if there's a potential, khilaf or a caliphate, and I think that if they saw this as an epidemic or a problem, I think they could bring back the idea. It could be something like a head that you see. I mean, because imagine, what if you have a whole generation of people that are just not getting married and they're just using this? They think, oh, you know what? I don't have to commit dinner. I can just do this, and they're not getting married.
And you get addicted to it.
Huh?
No, but
Yeah.
but they have to understand. Look, that's where taqwa comes in. You're still doing something haram, though.
No, but I'm saying that, no, I get that. But I'm saying that if it proposes if it gets to a level where it's a societal level where it's a problem where people are not getting married and they're not, and it's becoming so normal among them, even though the government doesn't promote it. But I'm just saying, in a situation like that, I believe the government, the emir could put together a very harsh punishment for someone who does it, right?
Yeah.
Or the seller of it. Anyways. But
The seller of it.
okay, no, I mean
Or just
the
not have it
seller
produced
is worse than the one
and
who
make marriage
yeah.
easy and simple. Yeah.
But I think to kind of make it serious though, in a serious note, it would be interesting to see how AI could be used to study books of a particular madahib of the past and compile all like the opinions over the centuries and study the source material, and then from that be able to give some kind of be
Super ultimate Sheikh AI, bro.
Dude,
No,
that's
not-
already almost there.
No,
they
but
have a
that
Maktaba
way-
Shamila that does that for you and it has this
No,
voice
but what
that
I'm saying
reads
is
it to
that
you.
Really? Maktaba
Shamila, you can actually.
I thought you could just search an issue
You
and
can search.
pull all the masail.
You can do. There's some add-on software that somebody made in maybe in Egypt or something like that, where whatever it is that you researched and your results, it just reads it all out to you.
Oh
with
yeah,
the
yeah,
voice.
yeah. But what
That's kind of what AI is.
No, a little different because what I'm saying is that if AI would then give a response, like for example, it would say, you know what would Abu Hanifa, based on his actual source literature, forget about the students around, right? But what would Imam Abu Hanifa, what would likely he would say about this issue? Based on what he actually wrote from the material, right?
Yeah, that's still,
No, but what I'm saying
Something
is that
extinct like Al-Awza'i.
yeah. I mean,
A madhab that used to exist but then died.
right. But so what I'm saying is that I don't think you ever replace obviously the fuqaha. But what I'm saying is that it could be a tool for the fuqaha to say this is likely maybe what he'd be thinking, and then maybe the AI could go back and look at it and say what was the pattern behind it? What were the evidences used for the AI to do that? Right, and then they could re-examine and say, did we cover all the evidences when we came to a particular ruling? I'm not limiting just the imam. I'm saying the entire madhahib, the imam, whatever. You can take all of that and say, and be able to reverse. So what I'm saying is that being able to take the opinion of the AI, but then reverse it and say, how did the AI come to the opinion of this? Because all those evidences that were given actually have to be used to come to the answer, right? Yeah. So then they can go back and re-examine all of that and say, did we cover those bases when we gave an answer?
Then too.
Yeah, it would be interesting, like reverse to reverse.
We would have to give it a name. Let's think of a name for it.
Oh my god!
If you think of a name,
I actually.
Oh my god! Abdul Mahin is still here.
Abdul Mahin.
Oh wow! Sorry, dude. I didn't know you were still on.
No, it's okay. That's actually my idea. I got the domain alim.ai.
Oh,
so
alim.ai.
So that's exactly my idea. I wanted to like
more to spoil there, bro. Now there's going to be a bunch of copycats.
Sorry, it's okay. Abdul Mahin was able to talk about alim.ai.
You already got it reserved, right? You said.
Yeah, I got the domain. It's locked.
Well,
I'm gonna go buy Ask My Alim.ai.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy shit.
Ask Imam.ai.
Ask Imam.ai.
I'm gonna buy shit.ai.
Islam
Q. Yeah, or you can get shit.ai or imam.ai. I don't know.
We're gonna be rivals.
Where are you based out of, Abdul Mahin?
I'm in New York.
New York.
I know you guys are in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yes, New York.
Mohammed, when next time you come through Chicago, hit us up. Let's grab a bite to eat or something. Why don't you send us your address and I'll send you out a TMM t-shirt. How about that? Thank you for your input today.
Bro, that's a lot right there. I appreciate it, man.
Just email me at the madmanlukes@gmail.com. You may get it in a few months. If I'm,
did you give Ali a t-shirt?
I give it to Mort.
I had to do that. So give it to me and I'll get it out. Okay,
yeah, Mort will send it out.
Can't you just go to the post office and?
I have accounts with FedEx, so it doesn't matter. So we could just.
Okay, Ali.
You don't have to. Yeah,
don't worry.
It's all right. You're gonna send us a New York style pizza too. So.
Yo,
make sure you send us your size.
Wait, tell me, are you in Queens?
No, I live in Staten Island, but I grew up in Brooklyn my whole life.
If you can ever get down to Queens, there's a place I will pay. Look, honestly, guys, there's a place in Queens on Francis Lewis and Hillside. It's called Gabby's Pizza. This is, honest to God, like as far as the thin pizza, the best pie in the world.
Really?
I swear. It's called Gabby.
What do you think about Abdul Mahin? What do you think? What do you say about this?
Queens and Staten Island, so it's not Gabby. But
yeah, come through. Do a Mad Bum Luke's in New York show, and I'll bring you a bunch of guests. I'll bring you some of the big shots here, and inshallah we'll start.
Have you ever ate at Gabby's Pizza?
He's eating at Gabby's Pizza.
Gabby's Pizza, never heard of it.
All right, so guys, New York trip, bro.
It's not deep dish, is it? If it's deep dish, then I don't know. Don't bring that here.
This is a regular. Don't bring that here. This is a regular New York pie. It's in Hollis on Francis Lewis and Hillside. Make sure you try it once in your life.
Yeah, and then
in Hillside.
we gotta go to Yemen Cafe. Yemen Cafe, I heard is dope too.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah, Yemen Cafe is awesome. You should come to Yemen Cafe. There's a lot of good spots here, man.
Did I tell you
I just had Holy Cow today. Holy Cow is really good.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
Did I tell you I went to Ohio?
You told me. Yeah.
I had camel meat.
Yeah.
Hi, brother Abu Muhammad. It was great to Abu Muhammad.
We're wrapping things up here. Thank you for chiming in.
Yeah, I don't want to interject on your show too much.
No, you're good. We had a lot of fun with you.
You interjected enough already.
It's all right. We're gonna get.
I'm just messing, bro.
AI wouldn't do that mistake.
Yeah. See that.
Yeah, let me know, man. I'll try to come on the show if you guys let me one more time. I'll let you know the progress.
Yeah, you don't want to just be a first-time caller every time you call. You just
I called before. I was the guy who talked about the Bigfoot thing.
Oh, nice.
Oh, snap. I knew that voice sounded familiar.
Abdul Mahin.
Yeah.
You and I talk.
I'm just compiling data right now, and it's on It's on ummaarchive.org, and I'm just compiling as much Islamic ilm as possible. And
can you compile some data about Bigfoot sightings as well? Bro, I would like to know what the AI thinks about this in the future.
Inshallah.
No, I think we gotta go to New York, bro.
Hayakumullah khair. Jazakumullah khair, guys. Assalamu alaikum.
Take care, brother.
Bro, we gotta go to New York.
Hey, listen, you know what though? On a serious note, I'm gonna compete with the Saudis. I'm gonna buy IslamQA.ai. I'm gonna make them pay me for that domain.
By the way, is Sheikh Manaj still in jail?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably gonna rot there.
Why?
No, I don't think he was in jail anymore.
He was. I don't know if he's still.
No, I don't think he is anymore.
No?
I haven't heard from him. I mean, I haven't seen
Did
it.
Islam still get updated?
Saudi?
Like with recent
It's okay, but it's not only run by him though.
What did he go to jail for?
Oh, well, let's not get into that. Bro.
I don't know, man. I took half my Islam from that guy back in the 2000s.
Yeah, that was the spot. Every time you
had a
new
question?
Muslims, yeah, you got to Islam QA. It's funny because now I hear people like recommend Islam QA to like new Muslims, like all questions, please go to Islam QA.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I like Islam QA. Why? Because we personally knew someone who knew him personally, bro, Abu Abdullah. So they were like roommates and they studied together.
Well, Abu Abdullah from MSI.
From Riyadh al-Salihin.
Oh yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
Okay.
So he studied with him in dorms with they were college. They were students together.
Okay.
So it was like legit, like he knew, like it was a sincere person, right?
Right.
But to me, it was kind of weird. Anyways, long story short, but it would be a nice competition for the Salafi. Like who's gonna pay me the most to buy IslamQA.ai? You know?
Yeah.
Hey, did you?
Oh, did we want to talk about the whole Andrew Tate getting arrested because that was the title of the episode?
To be honest, though, I mean, look, man, look. Here's the thing, bro. I don't know enough about it. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, well, basically what happened was Mr. Tate and his brother got picked up the day after, I want to say about 4 days ago, a day after the whole Greta Thunberg, he made some joke at her about how he has all these cars and he was basically making fun of.
Did she provoke him? By the way,
no.
He just kind of like
he went after her.
He went after her,
just like randomly. Okay,
I'm not a Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, but he did
How do you spell her name?
Yeah, Greta Thunberg.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not her fan. Okay,
yeah.
But that was stupid. What he did. Like there was no purpose behind it. Yeah. She didn't call him out. She wasn't saying anything to him. But anyway, he said he would send a whole bunch of his car's pictures in.
I think she made something like it was to drive supercars, and so he just kept.
And she replied back saying "small d energy" at getalife.com or something like that.
Yeah. What a wonderful, profound comment, by the way.
But it was still funny, though, right? I mean, he looked silly because it was like, completely unprovoked.
Why did he go at her for no reason?
I mean,
she's like a 17-year-old kid too, right?
18? Right. So, and he felt it too. So. Then he went back and he was having pizza in Romania with something, and then this thing on all over the news, stupid mainstream news. Andrew Tate reveals his location to the world by the pizza box, and that allowed the Bulgarian authorities to Romanian authorities to arrest him. So I just kind of laughed at that. I'm like,
people really believe that?
There's no immigration?
Yeah, like, you don't think they tracked his plane landing in? I mean, anyone can land in Romanian airspace, international travel, like no one knows.
People who you think are intelligent.
Elon Musk, bro, he types out, next time, sometimes it's better to make your pizza at home or something. I'm like, yo, you're supposed to be smart, dude.
Yeah, like
the thing is, like, these are social media is a great vehicle for showing
how stupid
people who you think are smart are not actually that smart.
But do you think he was just being sarcastic, like being like adding a joke line to a punchline?
Elon Musk has revealed a lot of his like
blind kind of slow in some ways.
How like sometimes this is one of the tests of really intelligent people, that people who are gifted in certain areas, Allah kind of gives them this trial and makes them arrogant, and they think that they can do the same thing that made them successful in one area into another area, and that success is not spilling over into Twitter, even though he's had some good ideas, but his execution of it's completely poor, because he completely disrespected an entire art form, right? Or not just an art form, but something that takes a lot of thought. Even if they're leftists and stuff like that, give them all that, right? Where they're social justice warriors and they're.
Wait, what art form are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about the Twitter algorithm, bro. The whole business model of Twitter. He's just like, oh well, I'm just gonna come here and I'm gonna start making money, and it isn't as simple as that. And because he ended up making a big mess out of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole different subject.
Right.
Andrew Tate gets arrested along with his brother on some charges related to human trafficking that are a result of some business that he had in the past, obviously before he converted to Islam, where there was these cam girls. I'm not going to explain on what cam girl is. If you don't know it, you know it. But there was some kind of modeling business.
His original business.
That was his original business.
Yeah.
And essentially, one of those or a few of those girls said that they were held without their consent, and they were forced to do
coercion
acts that are considered sexual assault, or human trafficking, maybe both. But anyway, after some investigation, these Romanian authorities, who Andrew Tate in the past would brag about being able to bribe and say that, hey, you know what, I can pay him off, they turn on him for whatever reason. It seems like there may have been some pressure from outside sources.
Yep.
I don't know if it's the Matrix, whatever he wants to call it. There's something. He's made enemies, right?
Yeah.
He's made enemies, and there's people out there out to get him. What the saying is, at least with Romanian authorities goes, whoever's the highest bidder will outbid your bribe to get free. So if there's someone who's willing to pay you to get arrested again, your bribe don't mean jack anymore. So you're gonna go back to jail,
But to be honest, though, look, I kind of saw some of this, like, just briefly. I don't know all the details, but he's been arrested by the Romanian authorities before, and it seems to me, the video that I saw, it was like an entire like Hollywood thing. Like, they had cameras there, everything was there, right? It was very organized, right? Yeah. It was like, and he
wasn't cuffed or something. They say he wasn't cuffed.
Well, I mean, even that, just the fact that they had cameras, the exact moments.
But wouldn't that be because he's a celebrity?
No, but even then, when you're talking about a government, I mean, like a cop raid, even in America, they don't bring like professional video cameras and watch it. After all that's done, they come in and do it, right? Interviews, but not at that moment, bro. Like you don't go in with a police squad, and that's just something very much for the public, right? So it seems to me there's some coordination that they were going to come in and do it. Now, look, here's the thing. Whether these things are true or not, Allahu A'lam. First of all, I think he's still a Muslim. Even if he wasn't a Muslim, you still have to understand that social media and general mainstream media in general is very crafty with how they present certain things. So it's not an authentic, meaning that you don't just take it at face value. You have to wait till evidence is brought as a Muslim. If he's guilty, then he broke a law. He has to be held accountable for his whatever it may be. And if he didn't, then he has the right to pursue action against the people who make accusations against him. But at the end of the day, even if he does break the law, he's still a Muslim. Allah can forgive this, right? Maybe this might be the moment that maybe he has to hit this rock bottom, in order for him to leave a certain lifestyle and say, listen, I'm going to embrace Islam fully, and maybe you need time in a khalwa. Maybe he has to go to jail. Allah makes plans for people. Right? And so this is part of a journey, and we know in the Quran that Allah says He will test you. Maybe it's His test. Maybe, I became Muslim and now this happens to me, right? How could, people go through their own tests. So maybe this could be, so we ask Allah to make it easy and make this a source of a lesson for him, that he becomes better from this, and a fitna that he comes out of with more iman rather than less.
The thing of it is, I think he talks a lot about having this like ironclad mindset. And being strong, so sometimes when you're saying it that much, you might be put to the test, like how real is it, right? It's just interesting again that I know you guys probably talked about this after the Tate conversion, the reaction. I did a podcast about it. Yeah. Again, it just brings to light how people.
So how did you feel about that, by the way, when he converted?
That was awesome. It's like boy,
high five, like,
not one win for the underdog. You know what I mean?
Can I think about it? How I felt about it? So I didn't particularly care when Hillary Clinton lost, but when Trump won and you see all these meltdowns, it made it so. It was just awesome. I remember there was one chick. She was like,
"You like watching meltdowns?"
You know what I love? People tried to undermine it, like, oh, how many people did Tate actually inspire by conversion? It's actually a lot, man. Yeah. Did you see the three Muslims, or is it four Muslims? I can't remember.
Three Muslims podcast.
Three Muslims? Yeah, they had this one kid on who has his mom, who was a big
Sonny.
Sonny. Yeah. He's a big fan of Andrew Tate, and it inspired him to learn about Islam. So him and his mom would do reaction videos about Islam. And
they talked to.
that kid is so sincere, bro.
They had not Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawah.
Ali Dawah, right?
Yeah. They had a podcast with Ali Dawah.
I really like that kid. But it's great conversation. At least you see his mom like trying to protect him, and he's still trying to be respectful towards his mom.
Yeah.
I could see that like the kid has some good fitra on him, bro.
Yeah,
his natural inclination, disposition is towards Islam. I really
he's
hope
very
that,
respectful to his mother,
that
too,
he
yeah.
does accept Islam.
The framing of Tate's fans being like incels and like right is so like erroneous. I'll give you an example, right? A couple of months ago, I attended a management training. And then like this company has been around for like 20 years. And when their main trainers, we stayed in touch, and he came in town, and we went to dinner at some like Jibik Kyrgyz restaurant, and he starts talking about, and he's like a older, upper 30s, well off, white dude with kids, married, and all that stuff, and he like loves Andrew Tate, and it's just like and you would never think he's super polished and professional, but he's like the stuff he says, like it's a little crude and stuff here and there, but if you look at his long form content, and I think most people who hate him. They feel like the clips. And as someone we do a long form podcast, right? And how many times has been like a clip of ours or something like, somebody will take it out of context. Like I was reading an article that somebody wrote about something I said, which was a satirical clip when I was pushing back on Mort like a couple years ago. And they took it as face value and they clipped it intentionally, right? It happened before. So as someone who's been like kind of targeted for that in that style, I certainly appreciate that, when you have you got to look at the long form. Like he did a 4-hour interview with like Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
His thing was Piers Morgan was pretty cool.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think that's it. Is there before you wrap up, I do want to talk about this Greg Berhalter story that just broke today.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, just as another side note, Kevin Spacey was recently cleared of
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
After all those years, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
So
he dropped the charges.
Really?
Wow.
But I think there's So are you anything else on Tate?
Go ahead, bro.
No.
All right. So this I wanted to talk about this because I was at work today and just like checking ESPN. This became the breaking news story. So Greg Berhalter, he's the coach of the U.S. men's soccer team. The World Cup just happened, right? So there's this stuff coming up about like, he was an abuser, domestic abuse, etc., etc. This is how dirty this went down, right? So one of the players on his team, Gio Reyna, y'all remember Claudio Reyna? He used to play for the U.S. team back in the early 2000s. He was a striker.
Yeah.
So Gio Reyna is Claudio Reyna's kid, and he plays for Dortmund, and he was supposed to get a lot of playing time in the World Cup, but apparently he screwed up in practice or whatever, so he didn't get much playing time in the World Cup. Now Berhalter's family and Reyna's family go way back. Like Berhalter played with Reyna's dad, even in junior youth. Like so they came up together, like high school and everything, and on a national team. So there were some leaks that came up during the World Cup that Berhalter used to beat his wife.
Wow.
Right? And so that's when you come out. And then somebody reported to the United States Soccer Federation. And so today came, and then Berhalter put out this whole tweet about, when he was 18 years old, he was a freshman in college at North Carolina. He was dating his wife for like 3-4 months. They got in an argument and he kicked her in the leg. Mm-hmm. Right? And he said they kind of broke up, and then, they eventually got resolved. They've been married 25 years. So what happened was that Berhalter's wife was roommates with Reyna's wife, and she knew it in college. And when her son didn't get playing time in the World Cup, she got all pissy about it.
Wow.
And told her friend, who happens to be on the U.S. Soccer Federation, that Berhalter was abused his wife years ago and needs to be held accountable.
Wow.
And this was you knew about this, and you're only. First of all, like Berhalter said, they handled their business. They obviously got married for 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? He was 18 years old. He explains it. And it just makes Reyna's wife is the one that did it. But you let your, I hope she just gets drugged through the mud on this.
Yeah.
And I think the narratives now, people are seeing it. They're like, what the hell? Why you in their business? Because your kid you screwed up and didn't play.
The motive.
Yeah, the motive behind it, right?
Yeah.
And if she's gonna get off, well, I want to see what the public narrative is.
They're not gonna crucify her because she's a woman.
Yeah, but if Berhalter, because now the U.S. team is investigating it, the federation, they actually said they're friendly or something. They have some event going on. They have some interim coach instead. So if he gets fired for this BS, that would be
you know what's crazy to me? Why is the U.S. Soccer Federation investigating a criminal matter? Or a civil matter? What are you gonna let's say, okay.
Everything is about branding, bro.
Yeah,
it's all about money.
I know, but what I'm saying is okay, so you got rid of him, but what did you really accomplish? Okay, so you protected your brand, but is it really about the brand, or you shouldn't be worried about the victim? Like, you know what I mean? Like if it's really something serious, I think, look, if there was a criminal investigation and you wanted to conduct an internal audit for yourself after a criminal, fine, I understand. But there's no criminal investigation. And then you're just taking it upon yourself to investigate something?
So who's the victim? It's supposedly it's supposed to be Berhalter's wife, his girlfriend when she was 18. And the crazy thing is, I'm reading Reina's wife's statement. She was like, I was her roommate and her best friend. I remember the trauma, and we forgave Greg, but then how he treated my son when he messed up, we thought it would be reciprocated. I'm like, yo, your boy just didn't get planning time. Yeah, that's what she said.
And what do you mean forgave? Like, why is it your story to tell? Are you conjoined at the hip with her? Like, you felt the pain when she got kicked in the leg?
Right. Like I was like, what the hell, because she tried to play it off like, oh, he's playing it off like it wasn't as big. It was much more to it. I'm like, obviously, your best friend and roommate still married him and has been married for him for 25 years now. Yeah. So she was like, whatever happened, she put behind her.
Yo, I hope she gets hit with the libel law case.
Like that was crazy. Like when I saw that's a case where Reina, I think he's the head of some like the Austin MLS team. He's on the board or something. And it's like he let his wife just go like that. Like, yo, that's also where you let your woman go unchecked. Yeah. And like Ernie Stewart's just a close friend of mine who happens to be like on this federation.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy is that I don't know if she thinks about the repercussion of this, because perhaps not everyone will probably want to avoid her son because they're a batshit crazy mother.
Well, breaking up two homes.
Well, they're saying too. They're also like Gio Reyna shouldn't be like faulted for this. He's a talented kid, like, but does it affect his career? Because you're like, you got some lady.
This is the same thing that happened with, I would say, the same foolish form of femininity that affected Will Smith and Jada. How she expected Will to go to her rescue, even though it was at a detriment to his career. Right. This is the same kind of. You want some kind of wisdom in your femininity, where your wife or your mother is looking out for the future of this, so that she de-escalates any kind of problems that are happening and tries to find the mature, more the better way out. But this is like that kind of toxic femininity that we're talking about, where this woman is she has that protective nature over her son, which is good, but she's expressing it in the worst way possible. The same way Jada did, where she wanted Will to stand up for her and go out and ruin her husband.
That is so crazy to me, dude. Like when they did that interview and she's like, he's trying to say, oh yeah, when that event happened, like, event, you had an affair. You know what I mean? Like, and they're trying to talk about it like it was like some kind of like, brush it off. Like, and then it was like, well, you know, me and you weren't good at the moment. I was just not happy. Like, just justifying the fact that it's like,
right in front of it, in front of the world.
So you're telling me, wait, hold on. If I'm not happy, I can go bang a bunch of women? Like, what are you saying here? Your happiness determines your fidelity? Like, it makes, and the fact that she expected him to understand, like, and here's the thing, like,
she didn't expect him to understand. She just wanted to embarrass him in front of everybody.
No, because they're trying to hash it out, right? And say, oh, we came to understanding, and I just wasn't in a good place, in the right frame of mind, the stress and all this stuff. Like, can you imagine a man saying, yo, you know what, man, work was so crazy. I've been working 2 jobs. It just been bills were adding up. I wasn't feeling like we were connecting, right? I just went ahead and smashed my secretary, bro. But, I didn't really mean it, but just, like, it would never. They would say, you know what, you dog, I gave you a child, I endured all this stuff for you, how dare you? There's no excuse for that. No excuse, right? And it's kind of like this mentality that, men should just.
And it wasn't a one-time slip-up either, right?
Right. It was like, and not even that, it was with who? Like, you're smashing this 18, your son's friend. You know what I mean? Like, not even like some guy you could actually potentially have a future with. It's some little trashy 18-year-old kid. You know what I mean? Some thug, right? And this is the problem, right? Like, and if a man, and now, here's the thing. It's not just about, I think it wasn't just about hashing it out. It's about reinforcing the narrative that a woman can get away with this and do it, and a man has to accept it, and it's a public display of this. Oh, Will Smith accepted that his wife cheated on him, and look what kind of man, what a great man he is. He worked it out with therapy, and he allowed him, he basically allowed some 18-year-old to smash his wife and get over the problem. Right, he allowed her to grow as a woman. Right, look how wonderful the man it is. She let other men just run right through her, and he accepts it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy of a thought to think that it's just normal. Like, you can come, because to be honest, let's be honest here, that in most cases would break any marriage. Yeah, I think any decent man would say, listen, I love you, whatever it may be, I have feelings for you, but that's a line that I cannot come back from. Yeah. right? Because a real man would be like, listen, or a normal man, right? Now, I don't want to say real or fake or just a normal man, not an alpha male, but you would think that, hey, can I ever trust that person again? Especially, it wasn't like a newly married or they're still dating. This is after years of marriage, right?
Yeah, and you're thinking
like, and like you're thinking like, well, can I? Because let's be honest. The minute you go on a vacation or like a business trip where you're separated, the first thing you're gonna think about is, hey, is she smashing some other dude? That's the first thing, honestly. Because if it happens once, the same way a woman was, like if a man cheats on her, she's gonna think the minute he goes on a vacation or on a business trip or out of the house for too long, is he cheating on me? Right. It's just a natural thing. Once you open that gate of shubha doubt, it's hard to close that.
Yeah.
And so, but to be able to say, oh, I went through therapy and we resolved it and realized that it was just, we were not in a good place, so she went in. It was a reaction to me not treating her well. What? Like she became the victim in all of this, which is crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, how crazy is that? The adulterer becomes the victim.
Hannibal Buress loves this.
And in Islam, you would have gotten stoned, woman.
Hannibal.
And that's the thing about that. In Islam, you would have got rajam. Stone. Like the rock would have been a victim for hitting your face. Your disgusting face.
All right, guys, we're out of time.
We are.
300th episode. Special thanks to, firstly, our wives for always helping us come to these events.
Yes,
and
were you forced to say that?
No, we should thank them.
I know, but I'm just saying
because it affects the family,
But yeah, true.
So
good point.
First and foremost,
he has a heart.
Me?
No, I'm just saying it's proven you have a heart. Mashallah.
Yeah, I mean, today is like a heartful day. He had a heart. Well, the story.
I'm an abuser.
He's thanking his
right.
wife. What are you thankful, Amir? What are you gonna say that's heartworthy?
I agreed with him. Thank you.
Second, we always got to think. Of course, all success comes from Allah, and this podcast is not any one of us's effort. It was an incredible journey through the culmination of efforts of listeners such as you guys who have helped us out through Patreon. Our initial funding came through my dad, my ex-wife's father-in-law, who was a big believer of mine. I don't know how to say it more openly now, but he believed in me.
No respect.
And I love him. Yeah, I still love him.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's a good man. So yeah, those are men who supported this cause and they believed in what we're doing. So much thanks to them, and of course, everyone who's continued to support us on Patreon.
Can I just give a shout out though?
Shout out to who?
I just want to say this because people don't know this enough. But no, I'm just saying it's an important thing I think for 300 episodes. I'm thinking back in the early days too. When you start the podcast, we all had this idea about, we need to make it big. We need to attract the right guest to make a splash so people listen to us. Yep. And we tried so hard with so many people, and we kind of get iffy answers. I don't want to say who, but it was always iffy, right? People had blown us off, whatever. But remember, just Baba Ali just came straight out, and he immediately decided to even see. I don't know. I mean, he just decided to even sponsor some shows in the early days, and that was something that no one was willing to do early on, right? And it wasn't like he expected anything in return. And the amount of effort he helped to help get it out, and I don't want to forget that, because especially when you're starting off and you don't have too much moral support, and you don't have too many big people at that time. You don't think big people supporting you.
No, he came out
just believing in you, right?
Joe Bradford,
right?
Joe Bradford.
Yeah, exactly. These help you think that, okay, maybe I've got something.
Yeah.
Maybe this is something for the long term, right? Yeah. So I don't want to forget the early guests that came on that really gave us some credence, right? And said, hey, before, because usually other people are kind of reluctant until other big names come on.
Yeah.
Right? They show kind of reluctance to say, we've had people say you're just not big enough yet, right? Or whatever, right?
Yeah, so we're just rough around the edges too. Right. It's not even about big or small. We're a bit rough around the edges. We sometimes are a bit loose with the tongue. Yeah. And it's something we have to work on. One of these days, we're getting pretty old now.
Maybe
we have to fix ourselves.
Maybe by episode 500.
Yeah, maybe we're mature by then. But the point being is that those people are instrumental in the way we grow, the popularity, the motivation to continue, right? So if Baba Ali, if you're listening, I hope you still are after 300 episodes. But I for at least for me, I do want to say thank you.
Speaking for all of us,
reward you for your belief and your ability, your willingness to help us.
I mean,
financially and morally, right? Those are both important things.
Yeah.
So,
Babali,
barakallahu feek.
Joe Bradford, Mecca Books, Arthur Richards from Mecca Books. Thank you so much. Who else were
Shout
our
out.
sponsors?
Al-Wahid even in the beginning too.
Wahid Invest, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, Al-Wahid in the beginning, I mean, they did, throw some money at us, which is a nice thing to do.
Right.
No, I mean, it wasn't like for free.
Yeah, I'm saying,
they're
but I'm
a
saying,
sponsor, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I just think about everyone who's ever been a host.
Yeah.
Even like a few shows, we had Ismail Royer,
Yeah.
Moga.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Moga. Shout out to Moga if you ever listen to Moga.
Yeah.
He said he listens every once in a
Oh
while.
wow, well, Moga, if you listen to 300 unit, we got you, baby.
Yeah. That has nothing to do with Spartans either.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should do a recap later on at some time, but like just the early days, like how it started. People, I mean,
They can always go back and listen to episode 1.
Did we talk about how like, we were in a basement and like the brown soap was?
I don't like to talk about that, bro.
The Bears wall.
Yeah.
Bears wall and like we used to unwrap the cables and like.
Yeah.
Subhan Ashrafi, Sub the Gamer, remember that?
But the thing of it is, I listened to a podcast a couple of weeks ago about Muslim podcasting, and it seemed like so many Muslim podcasts since Mad Mamluk started have come and gone too.
Yeah. One thing I want to say is one thing I appreciate, and I just want to wrap it up with this. I think one thing that makes us unique, because I've been listening to a lot of different shows that come out, and there are people right now who have surpassed us in like subscribers and millions of views. And I think one thing, so what I'm glad for, alhamdulillah, is that I understand why they got that big. I understand that YouTube has algorithms and things like that. But they tote the line. As much as they want to say they don't, but and I've been in many groups where they say, "Oh, don't say this, don't mention these words because the algorithm will block it." And alhamdulillah, we were able to maintain a bit of authenticity.
Yeah.
And although it would have been nice to be monetized, but the fact that
we're not that holy. I mean, if we were being monetized, we would do the same thing. But the demonetization helped us just say what we want.
Exactly.
We're always gonna be truthful with you in that respect.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, it would have been nice to be monetized. I'm sure we'd have told that line. But the fact that we didn't get, or we got demonetized, it allowed us to preserve to maintain some integrity in terms of like, because we're not concerned about money at this point, right? Meaning, so I think that's the difference. Like I've listened to a very popular podcast and great brothers, mashallah, very good, very good show. But they were like, oh, don't say the T word, don't say the Z word,
R word,
like the Zionist,
the
or
four letter R word. And they're always like, in so many like shows, it's not just Muslim podcasts, but so many YouTubers are so concerned with the words that are affecting the algorithm. I'm like, that's just a turn off. Like it doesn't. The thing I like about us, we have our 100 different faults. I'm not here to praise ourselves, but we're just authentic. We just be ourselves. We don't try to portray to be something we're not. I know so many other people do, and that's fine, because I know human beings. I know the reason why they have to portray that image, because human beings disrespect you. Because if you be too cordial, too friendly, too transparent, human beings tend to we're just talking about the average person. We're not talking about you, the listener, but human beings tend to feel a little, superior. They feel like they can start disrespecting you in the comments or wherever, and they lose that respect, that kind of invisible barrier that they have with traditional mashayikh that are on other, platforms and stuff. But if they start, imagine, like, pick whatever scholar or celebrity Muslim, if they started talking like us and being, just loose.
Yeah, people be very judgmental about
people
it.
Disrespect them.
Right,
They'll just be like, "Oh, he's like us." Oh,
yeah. And to be honest, to be fair though, I think there's a place.
They want like someone that they look up to, and eventually they revel when they see him fall down and they become a human.
I knew he was a bad guy. I could tell. They all do that.
The saying goes, the only thing better than a hero is a dead hero. Yeah, that's what human beings like.
I mean, that's a whole separate issue. We'll talk about that maybe one time. But I mean, it's just. But I'm just glad in some ways that, and I'm glad for even Mahin. Even you came back with even until 200 some odd episodes, we were able to maintain that authenticity. And it was fun to do it, because when you can't really express how you feel, at least for me, I mean, you guys know I do a lot of taming on the show. Like, I don't really truly just come out in raw fashion for a reason, but it's still untamed, meaning that I don't have to. It's not really a big thing, but being like that and saying having to say, oh, the T word, the Z word, or those, or unalive me, right, or some stupid thing like this, right? It's just impossible to have a normal or real conversation because no one talks like that in real life. Yeah. Right, so I think that authenticity is really able to come through, and alhamdulillah for that. You know, we don't get monetized, but we're able to keep it as real as we can.
Keep it 100. Folks, help us out on patreon.com/the Madman Looks. You can also send us a payment through PayPal.com/PayPal.com. The Madman Looks at PayPal.com.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have any doubt, just go to our website. That's our show for the evening. We'll see y'all next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.